Hello everybody, this is Chris Bird or MonkeyDude1313, and this is a completed master set of black and white base. This set came out 15 years ago to the month in April of 2011, and I'm looking forward to get into it with you guys. However, quick shout out to Shining Rhydon, a user here on YouTube, who requested this set to be shown specifically. Alright, so let's jump in. I have a nice little stack of cards here to show off with the set, but we will get there when we get there, and otherwise, let's get into it. This is the first set in the black and white era, and also the first set in Pokemon TCG history to sort by type, rather than sorting by rarity. So in most other sets before this one, if not all, this first page would have just been full of holo rares. And then we get into a non-holo rare section, uncommon, common, etc. However, here we start with types, and that means that we get to keep all of our evolution lines intact. So Snivy into Servine, into Serperior, all nice and flowing together. So, more visually appealing, and I think a lot of people would prefer this style over the old style. Like in base set, this would be Alakazam, Blastoise, Chansey, Charizard. Because their relation is that they are the same rarity and equally hard to pull out of a pack. But I digress. Let's get into it. So, let's pull out this Serperior here. The first two Serperiors in the set. And I wanted to show off the nice Tinsel Holo that debuted with this set. Very solid. However, quite subdued. Unless you're specifically looking for it, it's pretty easy to look past it. For example, this guy here, those lines might just be part of the picture. You don't know. So until you start kind of moving it around and feeling it out, they might not be holo. But let's also take a look at the deck exclusive version of the Serperior with the return of Cracked Ice Holos. This Cracked Ice Holo pattern started in the middle of Gen 3 with EX Fire Red Leaf Green, I believe, with Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno, but it also was featured on some Regis back in the day as well. I like to keep those kind of special cards here in the front. But here's all the grasses. Let us move on. We're already in fires, starting with the Tepig line. He's the starter from black and white, so you got to make sure he's featured extra. And let's pull out this Emboar real quick. So, the dark background, it makes it hard to see the Tinsel Holo, which is unfortunately pretty common on this set, but what really can you do? But I would like to compare that to the White Flare reprint. Although it's not technically a reprint, it's just definitely an homage to the card. So both of them have Inferno Fandango and Heat Crash, but different art and a definitely upgraded holo pattern. So this Emboar here, as we can see from the new set, not only does it have the Tinsel Holo around the border, which the black and white base set does not have, but also the tinsel in the picture itself is much, much more vivid. So there's a little bit of a side-by-side comparison for you. Moving on to the end of fires, we have Reshiram, who I'm going to pull out mostly so that we can keep him in mind for the rest of the set. But also, pretty cool Reshiram card here. Alright, Oshawott, moving into the waters. He is the third starter, so we got to feature him a bunch. 2 Oshawotts, 2 Duats, 2 Samurots. Alright, try and change my mind if you'd like. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Alomomola should have been the evolution of Luvdisc. And my headcanon is that it is the evolution of Luvdisc, and the only thing that could prove me wrong is facts at this point. So, evolution of Luvdisc debuted in Gen 5. Very nice indeed. Moving on to the electric types, and we move over here. The last electric type is similar to the Reshiram. I'd like to appreciate the contrast with the white background with the black Pokemon, but it does make the Tinsel Holo extra hard to see, because not only in the dark area is it harder to see, but then in the white area it's almost impossible to see, even when you're really trying. So keep the Zekrom in mind for a little bit later. Psychic types, very nice. Fighting types, I really like the Timberline. I think he worked out really well. And we've got a return to Pokemon who are born wearing clothes. Why not? You know what? Why not? Let's just make Pokemon wearing clothes. Alright. Crocodile's neat. We're into the dark types here. Zoro and Zoroark are some fan favorites. Move into Steels, which we only get 3 of in this set. Colorless types. And finally, the trainers. So this next flip is going to be the biggest flip of the set. This is the 3 super shiny cards from the set. I don't know why they did away with the X's. I don't know why they did away with Primes, or Level X's, or Legend Halves, or anything. This set just decided, why not? Get rid of all of those. We're going to put 2 very cool end-of-set chase cards. We're going to put a secret rare, and nothing else. So, unless you're specifically a fan of Reshiram, Zekrom, or Pikachu, which admittedly is a lot of people, not a lot to chase for in this set. But that doesn't mean these cards aren't cool. Before I get to that, though, I gotta put a pause on that real quick. I wanted to take a look at some of these energies. Ooh, fun. Compared to the Secret Rare Reshiram, let's talk about energy cards. So, the nice little checkerboard pattern was new for black and white base, and here is the Scarlet Violet retake on it, where very, very similar pattern. You could argue probably the exact same, but this time with a silver border. Pretty neat, pretty solid, pretty cool. And there was also some holo versions of these energies from the recent sets that brought the tinsel back on top of the checkerboard. So it's actually kind of very hard to see the checkerboard through the camera, but the tinsel is impossible to ignore. So these guys are mega, mega shiny from the new sets. All right, fine. I bothered you enough with energies. Let's move back into two-tone Reshiram. So we have some features of this card that have been mimicked in recent sets. Obviously, we have the White Flare Reshiram EX, which I might definitely have off camera to take a look at here. But then we also have the still colored energy symbols, including this water down here, despite the rest of the card being an obvious two-tone. So it's white with some grays, and then some of the grays even turn into blues. And so this card is very, very minimalistic in terms of color and design, but it's still very obviously a Reshiram. So let's compare that with the new Reshiram EX from White Flare. Again, the two-tone-ish, going from white to gray, but instead of the blue shadows, we actually now just have a rainbow background. And the rainbow background was present on the other Reshiram, but significantly less obviously. The main difference here now is that the energies no longer have the colors on them, although the colors returned in the Mega Hyper Rares from the Mega Evolutions expansion series. Alright, so very nice card, and let's hold them up side by side. They're looking at each other, very good, fairly mirrored, and very clearly an homage to the original Reshiram card from this set. Absolutely beautiful, and so if you've been collecting Black Bolt and White Flare, you are all part of your way there to completing the duo. Very, very nice. Let's move on to the Zekrom, who I could say the exact same things about, except replace the word white with black. So he goes from black to blue instead of white to blue. And his background, he's got a little bit of the rainbow in the ridges, but he still has the colorful types on the card. We compare that to the Zekrom EX from Black Bolt, and they're still looking at each other. Yet again, another good callback to this card, although they made quite a few upgrades in my opinion on the art style, and I do prefer the new ones over the old ones, despite it being kind of a little bit harder to see which Pokemon is going on. Alright, so if you guys are collecting Black Bolt and White Flare, you will know that the other secret rare that got the super cool two-tone treatment was definitely Pikachu. It wasn't. It was Victini. But Pikachu is still awesome. A lot of people love Pikachu, and a lot of people, Pikachu is the reason they're here in the hobby in the first place. So it is fairly fitting to have a secret rare Pikachu, even though this is an otherwise completely black and white set in terms of Pokemon from Black and White era. So they chose to make only the Pikachu holo here, along with the energy symbol in the top right, the energy symbols down here, a slight texture on this bottom part of the card, and then if we can get the camera to show it, you can see that nice lightning bolt there. So they continued with this idea for the rest of the Black-White era, but they made some tweaks. They added a lot more texture to the rest of the Black-White era secret rares, but this Pikachu and a Meowth from the next set really kind of paved the way for this style of secret rare. So I know I shouldn't show cards that don't really appear in this set, but it's hard to not be comparing things to the Black Bolt and White Flare sets without bringing out the Victinis. So we got the Black Bolt on the right, the White Flare on the left, but they're two red Victinis that follow a very similar pattern to the new and old Reshiram and Zekrom. Alright, that is the set right there. Only 9 minutes. Usually our master sets take a lot longer than this, but that is Black Bolt's main set, but we wouldn't be done, and it wouldn't be a master set without all the reverses. So this set featured the Mirror Holo, which started in Diamond and Pearl base, and unfortunately, the Diamond and Pearl base was the first one to departure from the very cool stamp reverses of Gen 3. But that is okay. We got some Mirror Holos on every single card here. Huh. Why does Pansage have a different and newer reverse symbol style than the other cards in the set? Well, I can tell you why. There is a promotional product that came out with the release of the second set, Emerging Powers, That gave you some black-white base packs, some emerging power packs, and the 3 promos they included were reverse holo patterns with this pattern instead of the mirror of the 3 different base set or basic monkeys. So we should probably get the mirror version to make the set more cohesive, but we have the promo version from that box. All right, not much else to say aside from flip through and admire all the mirror holoed cards here. And of course, everything except for the Reshiram, Zekrom, and Pikachu got a reverse holo pattern here. Alrighty, so here we are, just about at the end of the set. Thank you, Shining Rhydon, for requesting it. And which of the 3 chase cards from this set is your favorite? Did you play Black and White when they came out, the video games? Did you play the TCG? Were you very happy that Claydol was removed from the meta? If you know, you know. But is there any other sets you'd like to see, types of cards, anything? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be very happy to take a look, and we might just feature your set next week. So, thank you all for watching, and until next time, see you in the next video.